Hey kids, welcome back. So, hey, look there. Welcome back to the channel. Where a person lives, its social setting, all of that matters. It matters very much for most things in life. It matters a great deal for people with borderline. I would argue it's the single most important variable there is. Borderline is very often triggered by social things. A broken heart, a traumatic event, something like that. We have probably a genetic predisposition for this, but I think we can all agree on that there are probably events that triggers this, that makes it obvious that we have something going on. So, what to do about this? Well, that's the problem. Can you do something about where you're born, your life? Well, no, not to any great extent. We are born in the country that we are born in, and various countries has various cultural aspects going on and so on. If you're born in a progressive Western society, like in Scandinavia and to some extent the rest of Europe and United States and Canada, you'll have a lot of possibilities when it comes to developing a healthy mind and a healthy relationship with yourself, even if you have all the risk factors for having and developing borderline. But a lot of people are not born in these societies, and you're probably not even going to find a proper diagnosis going on in their healthcare system. And if it exists, it is probably extremely stereotypical with no nuances, no other than textbook examples being accepted, and these are often probably extreme cases as well. So you need a high level of borderline if you can measure it in some way. You know what I mean. So if I lived in one of those countries and I heard about this, I would probably, freak out even more, probably feel a lot worse and so on. But you can, of course, also try to make best of what you have. I think that is the obvious answer to this. And there's going to be a lot of possibilities wherever you live. The thing you will always have to change is your social setting. Like if you live in a very disruptive relationship, if you have very unsupportive people around you and so on, that constantly makes it worse, well, then you'll have to break free from this. I know even this is also a thing that you can for sure see privilege possibilities depending on where you live. I mean, good luck breaking your chain if you're living in, I don't know, Afghanistan, a female there. I mean, you can't even leave your house without asking your husband's permission. So, life ain't fair, that's for sure. But as long as you have the possibilities, which I assume most of my viewers and listeners have, I doubt, sadly enough, there is going to be a lot of female listeners from Afghanistan on my channel. But if you are here, of course, you are welcome. but I am addressing people with the possibility of making a change, and you should always make that change, because no medicine can fix this. No going to therapy can fix this, not on its own. You need to fix the things that triggers it. The societal things around you, your family, your relationships, those things needs fixing. You need to get away from the triggers that are impossible to get used to, or at least somewhat impossible to get used to. And as I've said in a previous video, I recommend people doing self-therapy in the form of not avoiding other things that strengthens your resilience towards being triggered. You know, expose yourself to political opinions you dislike, to people you dislike, and so on. But do it online or something like that, where you can just go away from it when you're fed up. In real life, of course, you should also go away. If you have a toxic relationship, if it's a partner or a family member or it's a co-worker, go away. It won't help you sticking around. And whatever triggers your borderline the most, of course, that should be ended. That goes without saying. That can often be the most hardest thing. If you are in a toxic relationship and you have a partner that you also love, but things don't work like it was for me. I mean, it doesn't matter if 9 out of 10 variables are okay or great. If that 10th variable is you getting triggered with your borderline, well, if that partner is the reason, then you should immediately end the relationship. And trust me when I say I know this is easier said than done. But you must. You will never improve otherwise. It's like having this nail in your wound constantly, just digging around. It doesn't matter how much you bathe the wound with alcohol and try to remove the pus and try to sew it up and try to do every kinds of thing. You still have that nail. You will not improve. It's as simple as that. The most simplest thing in the world, and yet for most of us with borderline, with separation anxiety, it's the hardest thing ever. The hardest thing ever. I haven't met my ex now since early November, and I feel good. I miss her greatly sometimes, but we have agreed that it's not good for us to meet because we can't handle it. We tend to fall back to intimate relationships and so on. But she is removed from my wound, let's put it that way, or at least she's just poking it a little bit now by existing and by us communicating and being in my mind, but not as it used to be. Those days are over, and I'm making sure that they won't happen again. So it's important. The single most important thing. Make sure you are not having that variable in your life anymore. Make sure you change the way you live and so on. No therapy in the world will ever fix you otherwise. It's as simple as that.